Oh, we don't need no fancy words. I mean, we need to practice. We need to rehearse.
I'll tell you what we need. We need some paying gigs. We don't need this messing around, first one patio and then another, and that's ridiculous. We don't got no goddamn band! We don't need to fucking practice with
it! All right, welcome to the No GD Band podcast. I'm Henry.
I'm Chris.
And we are back for episode 10, Chris.
Woo, we made it to double digits.
Double digits. Finally.
Awesome.
I know. Like we talked about before we came back from Thanksgiving, all these issues started to pile up, and we were recording the Rodney tribute the other week, and I know that was like, God, we got to pod this. God, we got to pod this. We're trading text messages all week, like trying to figure out what we were going to do, and things just kept rolling all week.
Yeah, it's almost like, almost like a news program now because stuff is happening so quickly
Do you remember?
We had scheduled Tyler for a while.
Yeah.
And then that week came up, and I was like, Henry and me are riffing on these text messages, and we got to do this Rod tribute episode to come out this week. And by the way, I think it went great.
Yes.
I'm so happy to have gotten that out there for people, not just for us. It was a ball for us, but man, I think there are a lot of people that this week is, particularly sad because they remember Rodney and his passing, and hopefully we could provide a little light instead of dark when we remember Rodney.
I think people really liked hearing the music that we had sort of hidden away that came back. That was good.
I mean, I'm proud of that stuff too because I was a part of it, but I'm really proud of it because it's Rodney's legacy, I think. Because I think some of that stuff will endure the test of time, and we just gotta. The next goal, Henry, is we gotta put it out in a record form. We gotta stop the bickering, the fighting by all the members, and see if we can get that done. That's a goal of mine in 2018.
Really?
Yes.
One thing I picked up from Tyler while he was here, he publishes that magazine, is the benefits of having a paper product in front of your face.
Yeah, let me say this about the omelet, because I wanted to say this real quick. And Henry, you may have to start a list of stuff that we need to post concurrently with this, our Potpourri episode is what we're going to call it.
Yep.
But would you post a picture of our ad? It's our very first paper ad.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to start doing ads, I think, continually in the Charlotte Omelet, but Tyler was not happy, but was nice enough to do the first one for us for free for this Rodney episode. So that's the Charlotte Omelet. For those of you, obviously, they're not in Charlotte, is a actual print magazine bi-monthly that Tyler prints. He pretty much does it all himself. It's kind of the what would you call it, Henry? Like the cult or underground newspaper,
right?
Charlotte?
I mean, if anybody read zines back in the day, it's sort of like that, except it's more of a humorous bent thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of local stuff from here in Charlotte that people would know, local references, fun cartoons, ads that are. Some of them are true and some of them are not true. Reminds me of like a Vonnegut book or something.
Yeah, it was funny. I try to pick out which ads are real and which ones aren't, and then I'm like, I wonder what people think of ours. Is it real or not?
Or what would happen if you wrote to the address that's on it?
Yeah, sure. Right. I'm sure he has something cooked up. That is Tyler. But it also, not that it's just silly, it also, if you read it, it's got a very interesting commentary on the city we live in and stuff going on around here. And I'm really proud of it and proud of what Tyler's done with it and hope that he continues. And we want to support that. So hopefully we're going to be advertising in the Charlotte Omelet. So look for it.
Yeah, pick one up. You can subscribe, by the way.
That's right.
All of our California people that know us at charlotteomelet.com, go there, hit the subscribe button. It's $8.
You won't regret it, man. It's not just a Charlotte-centric thing. The guy's hilarious. The paper's pretty funny. It's surreal. So, if you're... And, Henry, we're big in California, apparently, right?
Apparently, all my data from Libsyn says that you guys in California are listening to us. So if you were from this from this California contingent, San Jose, Oakland, San Francisco, I want to hear from you at nogdband.com.
Yes.
NoGDBand.
Yes, any way that you can find us to comment
at
or
gmail.com.
I'm
on Twitter, NoGDBand. We are on Facebook at NoGDBand. Find us.
Also,
I want to know who you are.
This is a good spot to do a plug, and I know Henry hates these, but here's another thing I want to do.
Hey, Chris.
Here's another thing I want you to post. I want you to make a note.
Okay.
Henry's wife did a great job
Yes.
of making us some no GD band shot glasses.
That's right.
And I think we have some no GD band beer koozies in the work.
Nice.
So what we need out of you folks, if you would be so kind, first of all, California folks, we just want to hear from you. I would happily send you some swag if we heard from you. Everybody, though, if you would do a rate and or review of the podcast on Apple iTunes, it doesn't have to be good. I don't care about that.
Well, I mean, that would be nice.
Well, it would be nice,
I
but
mean,
just,
you are a listener.
just give me
You
a
have
rate and a
downloaded
review.
it, or
And we will see to it that we send you some swag. If I can see it and verify who it is, and if I can get an address from you, we'll definitely get you some No GD Band podcast swag. We want to grow the show, and the
Yeah.
best way to do it is through rate and reviews on iTunes.
oh, Chris, one more thing.
Yeah, what's up?
I heard something about you,
Okay, is that good?
and I need you to verify if this is true or false. Are you or are you not in a band called Sam the Lion?
I am in a band called Sam the Lion.
And do you or do you not have a show next week on the 14th? Can I remind you you're under oath?
Yes. Boy, I see how tough this is for those guys up in Congress. I guess, Henry, technically, if I was going to be like trying to evade this question, I would say no. The reason being is that this podcast comes out the week of the show. So I don't have one next week. I have one this week, which is
Oh, yeah, that's
the 14th.
right. So we're talking about December the 14th
On a Thursday night.
at the Evening Muse. What time?
My lawyer said I have attorney-client privilege. I don't have to answer that question.
It's a great band. Chris and those guys put on a great show. Very beautiful music. And who's opening up?
I believe we are the first band. I believe Heart
Oh.
of a Ghost is playing second.
Okay, so it's going to be Sam the Lion first and Heart of the Ghost. And
I promise you that we did not talk about Russia in the planning of that show.
interesting. Anyway, all you guys come out to that show and see Chris. You may or may not see me there. I don't know. We'll
All
see.
right, it'll be fun. So hey, we got to get going because this is our potpourri show. So
All right.
let's pour some whiskey. And then move along.
Cool.
Whiskey's pretty cool.
Whiskey is pretty cool.
It's like what once was skin, now is butter. Nerves that were twisted and tweaked are now smoothed out, like soft water moving over rocks. Long before Kevin Bacon and Meryl hit the splashing beast.
Yeah, man, I like whiskey too. I'll take another shot with you.
To the truth!
What did you bring us today?
You know, I bought the cheap stuff.
Oh
This
boy,
is Evan Williams. I have a sneaky suspicion.
rock gut.
Yeah, I think they named this. I think they came up with it because, we need two words,
2 names,
and they need to sound kind of country-ish,
like Jack and Daniels.
like Jack and Daniels, but we're not, exactly those guys. It's the cheap stuff. It is aged for a minimum of 4 years, Chris.
Wow.
How could it possibly suck?
Wow. My headache will tell you in the morning. But
By the way, they also say it has been ranked as one of the world's best-selling whiskey brands. I wonder why.
Now that I believe that is, I'm sure that's true. So, all right, Henry's poured it up,
Drink
so we're
up.
going to start drinking. And here's our potpourri episode. All right, so this is our first ever potpourri episode, and we just got so much damn stuff we want to talk about. We just decided not to call a topic of choice and just go for it.
I got a whole paper full of shit here.
All kinds of stuff. We're just going to shotgun our way through it, folks, and I hope that you stick with us.
right, so-
Let's hit the first one.
The RNC has decided now that they're going back more for reasons that
I almost thought, well, first of all, before we deep dive Roy Moore, I almost thought like we needed a new segment music for this because we're going to go on a run right here of sexual misconduct.
It should sound like mac and cheese. It should sound like you stirring a pot of mac and cheese.
So Henry has this great
That's
idea,
gonna be-
and I think we may have to do this if they keep coming down. We're gonna make a sexual misconduct tote board that we're gonna keep. And who are our new members since we last talked?
This
Henry?
week it'll be Conyers
Conyers, I think Lauer,
and Matt Lauer,
Charlie
Yes.
Rose, I
forgot to
believe
put
is
him on the
new.
list. Yes.
Welcome, Charlie. Garrison Keeler, one of my heroes. Welcome, Garrison.
Fuck, man.
But let's get back to this Roy Moore one that
Yeah.
you brought up, Henry. So I was doing my morning run the other day and I flip on the radio and the RNC has just decided to totally cave and go party over morals.
Because it looks like he's going to win.
Well, they don't care about anything but party as far as I can see. Country doesn't matter. Morals and ethics doesn't matter. We just have to have Republicans win.
Right. Those guys won't answer for that either. They don't answer that question. Nobody has said to them, hey, why do you choose party over the good of the country or above a moral baseline? Okay. That includes not messing with teenage girls.
Well, I'll tell you, Henry, to me, and I think me and you both felt this way for a long time, to me, Republicans are for the most part, hypocrites anyway. So this doesn't totally shock me that they're doing this. But what it does scare me about is not just for Republicans in the future. Has this, Henry, now lowered the bar to where anyone can enter the political arena and it's fine?
I guess.
If you're Charles Manson-esque and you decide you want to run for office, who cares, man? All that matters is, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? That's all that matters now, right?
Is it because so much time has passed that they don't believe that the standards were different and all of that? That they're able to let that fall, back in the past in the midst of what that was? And because he's been elected before and nobody seemed to care then, so why care now?
No, Henry, I think it's completely different. I'll tell you what I think it is. They are terrified of not having these votes. They think they are in a war for it's a social, what do they call it? The culture war? It is a culture war that is take no prisoners. They have to have every vote they can get. It doesn't matter who's on their side. If it's a murderer, if it's a sex offender, if it's a pervert.
All right, let me be not devil's advocate, but let me say if the tables were turned, let's say the Dems were in the power position, in the tenuous power position that the Republicans are with the votes that they need to pass this tax thing. They need to have, 52?
Let's say so what you're saying is, let's say we are about to pass a tax bill which taxes the rich heavily like we wanted.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a different issue, but let's say that's what we were doing. And the allegations were to come against Senator Franken or something.
Yes.
Like this.
Yes.
Would the Democrats be in such a rush to ask him to resign?
Of course I'm biased, but I really think that Democrats, the biggest problem we have is also what I would call our strength in this issue.
I've heard you say this before.
We are still bringing knives to gunfights, but at least we're standing on our principles. I have consistently said since all this came out about Al Franken that he needs to go. I think a bunch of senators came out today, Democratic senators, and said he needs to go.
20 of them.
Conyers is going. So I don't think you can call this tit for tat, what about Clinton kind of argument that the Republicans use. Our guys are getting nailed, and they're going down. And you know what? Here's the thing I heard that I want to make clear, especially to all of our lady and women listeners out there. This is not a political issue. It should not be a political issue. It doesn't matter whether these people are conservatives or liberals. If you're a sexual predator or I hate to say the word predator, some of them are not predators. If you commit sexual misconduct in the workplace or in the wrong environment, you need to go, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat.
Okay, I can agree with all that. But let me ask you this. All these things that happened with Al, for example, were in 2006, in that era where he was an entertainer and all those things. What is the statute of limitations here? Like, ideally, before Al even ran, would he say, "Hey, by the way"?
What's the statute of limitations on the Trump statement?
I'm saying, what does Al do in redemption? And he would come up before he ran for Senate and say, I behaved inappropriately with people back in 2006 that I know of. I need you to know that. I repudiate my actions, and I resolve to dedicate myself to being a different person as your senator. That would have been how he does it, right? You can be convicted for all that stuff that you did in the past.
Well, first of all, and I think we got to be right. Here's the first thing we need to be cognizant of. None of these people came out before they were accused and said, I've done this behavior and that's not me now.
Right.
Al Franken didn't come out and go, before I'm accused of this, I remember back in '06.
Right.
I'm not that person. If he'd have done
He
that,
would have had to have done that to achieve something with those people.
But people apologizing now, I'm glad they're apologizing, but the only reason they're apologizing is they've been called out.
Yeah, sue penance of some kind. And in this case, it means you got to leave the job.
I'll be honest with you, Henry, and I know I think in the midst of, I think there's two things that we're going to look back on in history from this time period of American history. Mm-hmm. We are in a sexual harassment revolution. It's also tied to the Trump presidency,
yes,
which could maybe be the end of our country. But those are the two major issues.
Wait a second. What this means is that you can be accused and tried in the court of public opinion, and they have to take action against you, no matter what.
Okay. Let me be clear too. Let me be clear about.
Is that what you're saying?
No. Let me be clear about what I'm saying. I'm not saying Al Franken needs to go to jail.
No. I mean, but
I'm not saying he should be tried in the court of public opinion. He just can't hold a job where he's proven or where he's been shown
with pictures of grabbing boobs, right?
Or listen, for me, the level of responsibility is more likely than not. If it's more likely than not that you did this act, you can't be in that job. Not you have to go to jail. I'm not trying and convicting you of anything. You can still live in America and be a
sure.
But you can't be a senator. And Roy Moore, if 9 people accuse you of this, it's more likely than not that you did it. You can't run for the Senate.
So, and not only that, this is sort of a litmus test.
I love Louis C.K.
Yeah,
you can't do any more comedies because you did this.
I mean, is that where we are?
That's where I'm at. And for these people right now, maybe in 10 years, there's going to be it's going to cool off, and people can come forward and self-regulate, and maybe we can get.
So let's go back in history.
Matt Lauer can never
going to watch.
He can never host the Today Show. No, now that's a different issue. You're talking about can we appreciate someone's art who is a Luddite or
not a Luddite? You mean like who has been proven to be a bastard of some kind?
I still think I should be able to watch the stuff that Louis C.K. did and still appreciate it, as long as I'm not watching and appreciating him commit these acts. None of us are like perfect people.
The art world and the music world and all of that is full of reprehensible people.
Sure, I don't have a problem. I've thought about this a lot too. Like I'm not a great person, so I need. I still think I can be. The stuff I produce can be listened to.
But all this sort of feels like some kind of weird outwork, Handmaid's Tale outworking of some kind. Doesn't it feel like that? Like as a result, we start reverting back to being afraid to be sexually aggressive at all.
Well,
we go back and we purge all of our art of everybody that ever did any shitty thing.
I don't think anybody's saying we have to purge our art, but I mean you can't.
I'm not saying it, but I'm saying
you
it feels
can't represent the women of Minnesota that voted for you honestly when you're a sexual harasser of women. How can you do that? You can't represent me going forward making situation comedies when I know that you come from a place where you think it's all right to come out naked in the writer's room and masturbate
Then
all over the table.
The market votes. Like, I just can't watch that guy knowing what he did.
Sure, but I don't think
out of the room.
I don't think it's Handmaid's Tale. I don't think we should pass a law that says now we have to get rid of all Louis
Who
C.K.
else? Who was the guy they caught on tape? Okay, Rob Lowe. The guy interacted with an underage girl. Fuck that guy. Nope, we're going to watch him on Park and Rec. Who's the guy that in the closet? Who did that? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
In the closet.
Are you talking about R. Kelly?
Yeah,
yes.
He did some shit. Everybody forgives him for it. Michael Jackson, he did some shit. Everybody forgives him for it. And listen to his music.
I'm going to nitpick. R. Kelly hasn't been forgiven because there's an article recently where they think he's keeping women entrapped in his mansion.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I did read that.
But I will say, I don't think anybody's saying that their art should be gone. I think where you're seeing it is like Matt Lauer should not be beamed into our homes in the morning on the Today Show, especially when the guy gets on TV and grills people like Jon Stewart for bad behavior.
The guy's the height of hypocrisy. That guy.
Height of hypocrisy.
It is the worst. It's one thing to try to run away like Louis C.K. did. It's another thing to sort of chalk it up to the game like somebody like Al Franken would.
Right.
It's another thing to get your ass in front of a fucking camera and grill other people about sexual assault, knowing that you're the guy that has a fucking button on his
underneath his desk. Yeah.
I mean, God.
And I'll
dang.
tell you something else. I know those positions aren't. I mean, I know they're talking heads for the most part, but the guy was who we trusted to like interview presidents for us and moderate debates and talk to. I don't know if you remember
Charlie Rose. Did we talk about Charlie?
Charlie Rose.
Did that happen?
I mean,
Since the last, probably.
yeah, that's a new one. Welcome, Charlie.
Sure.
I just think too, Henry. I think we need to step back and look at it like this. And I was thinking about this today, and we'll move on from this segment because there's going to be plenty more. I think we're going to get to talk about this. All you got to do is just treat people of the opposite sex. You need to treat people the way you would want it. You'd want yourself treated if you weren't attracted to the other person in a public or a work environment. That's all. I know that you feel comfortable around me in a work environment because I'm never going to lay my penis on your shoulder,
right?
Or I'm never going to force you because I'm your boss to give me a blowjob. I'm not going to act that way towards you, Henry. That's all. I think it's not that hard. I don't know if you saw this. I was going to mention this too. I don't know if you saw John Oliver.
Yeah, dressing down Dustin Hoffman.
Dressing down I think there was a big part of that.
I read about it.
For me, I watched the video. A big part of that for me was just Dustin Hoffman was still ignorant of what he really did wrong. He was taking the angle that the whole crew was like a family and they had been around each other so much. They were all saying sexual jokes to each other and stuff.
That lines got blurred.
Yes.
And all that.
He wasn't the only
But I've always said that. It's like that with Hollywood. Those things, like we talked about all these directors.
But that's what I'm saying.
Hey, we're on the same team. It's not like we're really in the... there's no line of authority here. We're trying to make art, man, free and all that.
I think the next topic that you brought up was this.
This is about Trump today.
Yes.
He basically recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Yes, he did.
And and there are plans now to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Now, Chris, what I didn't understand, I thought you, as a good student of history, might be able to explain to me and maybe listeners if they don't know. What was the point of having the embassy in Tel Aviv to begin with? Was it just sort of an appeasement thing?
Well, so basically what happened was the UN declared Jerusalem a sort of a safe city or they split it in half. So they basically said half of this is Palestinian, half of this is Israeli.
Right.
Israel, of course, the entire time since they were created by the UN, but I don't want to piss off Jewish people, but the UN created Israel.
Right.
Since then, Israel has said Jerusalem is our capital. It's the, whatever. But the UN said, no, we're not going to, Jerusalem is not because it's a split city and it's just a powder keg. So Tel Aviv is the capital. So by UN treaty, which the U.S. was the one that pushed this through, and it's been our policy because we don't want to we didn't want to upset the Palestinians any more than we already have. No international Western UN signature recognized Jerusalem as the capital, and they named Tel Aviv the capital. So all the UN countries put their embassies in Tel Aviv, even though Israel was like, Jerusalem's our capital. It kind of forced Israel to deal with everybody in Tel Aviv.
I see.
And it's been for 40 years now, so Tel Aviv is kind of the capital because it's like Israel.
Because that's where all the international activity
Israel
is.
has to react that way. So obviously the U.S. is the big push in the UN for Israel to begin with. Mm-hmm. So if we move it to Jerusalem, it's basically like
he's basically saying screw the Palestinians, is what this means.
I mean, I think if I was trying to look at it in the best light, I think it's a way of Trump saying leaving the embassy in Tel Aviv has not solved. We've never solved this Palestinian crisis. Mm-hmm. So let's put some pressure on the Palestinians, some real pressure, and piss them off. Personally, I think it's more of just more red meat that he's throwing to the Christians by saying, I don't know, that whole thing, Henry, about evangelical Christians support Israel because they want the end of times to come, not because they actually care about Jews.
Right.
And this is just another thing that might spark the war that will bring the apocalypse, which is some sort of weird evangelical thing that could bring us closer to war that is like fairy tales. It's like talking about Santa Claus. But anyway, I think that's really why he did it. I don't think he did it for any nuanced trying to solve the Middle Eastern crisis.
Just red meat for the rubes.
Also, it's a little bit of an anti-Muslim thing as well. So it's a racist. It's another nod to the white nationalists. Yeah, and I think he's just playing hard to his 30%, man. He's doing everything he can to harden up and firm up that 30%. Supporting Roy Moore, moving the capital to Jerusalem. This tax cut thing, which
every goddamn thing he does is the most like incendiary, shittiest thing. So now we can talk about what happened today.
The wedding cake.
Yeah. So the cake situation, I've been kicking this around in my mind a lot, and I've been vacillating between 2 points of view. I'm not a lawyer. I think this really has to do with a couple things. Whether we consider cake baking to be an artistic expression or not. Doesn't it seem like that? Because you can't, you could say, all right, for example, remember that there was this guy. I'm assuming that everybody that's listened to the podcast knows what I'm talking about with the cake baking.
Let me quickly just refresh about this. There's a case in Colorado where a guy owns a cake baking shop, and same-sex couple came in asking him to bake them a wedding cake. And basically, he told him no, it violated his religious beliefs to make a cake for a same-sex couple. The case has gone to the Supreme Court. This guy has stopped, in the interim, this guy stopped making any kind of cakes for anybody, any cakes that require him to do creative stuff of his own, and while he waits for the decision. But he doesn't feel like he can be forced to make a cake for a same-sex couple because of his religious beliefs.
And you can't, by law, you can't force people, you can't compel them to make an artistic expression.
Okay, well, here's the thing. The First Amendment is very broad, and I'm going to put on my... I'm not a lawyer, but I did go to law school.
Right.
The First Amendment... So his lawyers are playing a trick here with the artistic expression thing. The First Amendment is very broad. It protects a broad group of speech. It's one of the greatest things we have in the United States, freedom of speech. Artistic expression is considered protected speech under the First Amendment. So they're trying to say that his cake baking is artistic expression.
Cake boss.
That is really, not the issue. If you look today, what the arguments... So if you read an article about when the Supreme Court hears a case, you really can tell where the issue is by what the justices ask the lawyers.
Did you read the questions today?
Yeah. So basically, it's not really what the lawyers want to argue. So the lawyers will come in, they'll have this thing worked up, right? And they'll say, Mr. Gordon, it's your turn, and you'll start with your art thing. And Supreme Court justices will just instantly they don't give a shit because they're the Supreme Court, and they'll start interrupting you and saying, Mr. Gordon, tell me, so how would this affect florists? Okay, so... I think the issue is basically going to come down to this, and of course it's going to come down to Justice Breyer, who is the guy who is the literal...
Not Kennedy?
I'm sorry, Kennedy, who is the literal definition of middle of the road. This guy is sometimes leans to the left, sometimes leans to the right.
He has, but what I've heard, and I listened to this on NPR on the way in here, apparently this guy has serious... leanings to or sympathies with the gay community, loves gay people.
It's cool.
But also, he has serious empathy for a religious argument.
Yes, but he's my favorite justice because he's about 60% liberal. But what I like about him is he was appointed by a Republican president. So he was supposed to be a hardcore Republican guy, and he turned out to be right down the middle. He turned out to be pretty much what we would all like all of our judges to be, not one way or the other.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Henry, what I was from one of the questions I was reading, what it's really going to come down to is this: can we make them so if this guy that makes these cakes doesn't serve anybody, that's fine. He can discriminate and say, I don't serve, I'm not going to bake cakes, this type of cake for anybody because I don't want gay people to have these kind of cakes. Or do we want to say, you can pick and choose? I don't think the argument is going to be artistic expression. It's just going to be, in an industry where you produce a product and you sell a product, if you won't serve anybody, so like we can't force a kosher deli to serve pork because they don't serve pork to anybody.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
That they're allowed to discriminate and say we don't serve pork because of our religious beliefs, but they don't serve pork to anybody. They don't serve pork to straight people and not gay people.
Okay. I'm still not sure if I understand your point.
Okay. So basically what the religious people are saying is, look at the kosher delis. Their religious beliefs say they can't serve pork.
So they don't serve pork.
But they don't serve pork at all.
Sure.
So what the court is either going to decide is this guy needs to play by that rule. If he doesn't want to serve same-sex couples, I don't know the word, individualized cakes that he makes. Custom cakes.
Right.
Then he can't serve anybody custom cakes, and it's fine. He can discriminate all he wants because he's not serving anybody a custom cake.
Yeah, you buy one off the shelf.
And the reason it's going to come down to that is there were a lot of questions from the justices saying, so what if one of the members of that same-sex couple came in and lied to him and said, I'm serving at a straight wedding. And he makes the cake for him. He still gave a cake to a gay wedding that violated his religious beliefs. How do we regulate that? How are we supposed to figure that out? What if they don't tell him at all? And why should he even ask the question? He's selling a product. He's putting it on the market for sale in commerce.
All right. So years ago, this guy, you might remember
the art thing. I think is the.
You think it's a ruse?
Well, they were just.
Well, I'm not sure.
No, it
if
wasn't
you look
a ruse.
at the guy's thing,
it wasn't a ruse. They were trying to get it to the Supreme Court on a First Amendment argument, and that was how they did it. But that's not where the case is going to be decided.
You don't think so?
No.
So remember the guy in the Smithereens, Pat Denizio, who said, "Give me this, and this, and this, and I'll write a song for you." Mm-hmm. You know, that was the criteria, right? That was his artistic output was dependent upon whatever you gave him.
Okay,
and so could theoretically a person like that decline to write a song for someone because of his religious leanings, one way or the other? That's I don't understand why you don't see the cake as a artistic expression on its own. Well, is there something about cake baking that we just want to say, that's not art? That's not you're not putting something of yourself and your own personal expression in there. That's just.
I don't think everything that you put your personal expression into is art. First of all, this is me personally.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I really take a lot of time into this, and I think we're doing a hell of a job. But I don't consider it art. But I
do.
Okay, well, I don't. I put a lot of myself in this though, but I don't consider it art.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me my personal opinion, I think the cakes and some of those cakes that you on that article you sent me look amazing. I would call that an artisan, a craftsman, or an artisan.
But all right, so let's think about what
I wouldn't call it an
what
artist.
Baking a cake requires you to do.
You got to eat it too, though. I mean,
don't you have to spray? Don't you have to say "Happy Wedding, Joe and John"? Like that requires you to say that.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Some of those cakes were like those wedding cakes were just like. These people wanted a Gumby on top of their cake. They didn't give a shit about it saying "Happy Wedding."
Justice Scalia had a duck hunting thing.
Yeah, so I mean,
I just thought that was funny. I read that, but
no, I like that.
Anyway,
okay.
Anyway, sorry. Aside,
and Henry, let's remember this too. Again, this is the hypocrisy of Republicans. This has nothing to do with cake baking.
Right. It's not about the cake.
This is we don't like the LGBT community having the right to marry.
To get married.
So we want to punish them in any way we can.
And I have control over which cakes I bake, so...
Really, they don't give a shit about the cake. They just want to make it so hard for them to do anything that normal married people do because they're mad because they lost their little...
And underneath all that is the idea that there's some fucking religion that says that you can't approve of two people who love each other wanting to get married. How about fuck that?
Right. Well, there's slavery in the Bible.
How about fuck that religion?
Well, there's lots of stuff in the Bible that we don't do now. So, but okay. Anyway,
yeah.
So
I guess we wrestled that to the ground.
Well, let's talk about this real quick. I forget the case. I do like this little discussion we're having about what is art and what is not art. So where does art?
Oh, that dovetails with our failed situation the other week. Remember that? the failed discussion we're going to have
about
art and what constitutes art, or what makes art good or bad. You know what I mean?
Well, and
remember that one.
And what makes
We'll still get back to that.
yeah, and where is the line drawn of art? Like I don't see cake. I see cake baking as artisanal. I don't see it as art.
I think it's one of these weird situations where somebody could. It's like pseudo sculpture, right?
I was thinking of, you know what I was thinking?
Because I
Ice
keep thinking about Cake Boss guy and all this passion that he puts into this thing. Oh, this is going to be a great cake for these guys. They're going to fucking love it, and it's going to be this way and that way, and we're going to do it. It's going to be beautiful, and we have this nice statement. I want to get it there in just the right way. You know, that's the way he.
So is passion art? My mom passionately has taken care of seniors for 30 years, 40 years, but it's not art.
It's an expression. Is the cake that guy saying, Joe and John, I wish you the best and endorse your marriage fully? Is that is that what he's, you know what I mean?
No. Okay, first of all, 99% of all wedding cakes are made by a guy who has no idea what's going on at the wedding.
I believe that.
And he's not like going, this is all made so that John and Joe have my love in. He's making
that
a
I'm
product.
putting some love into my
He's making
thing.
a product for $300 that he's agreed to make.
And also, from what I hear, they could have bought one out of the cooler. So
they still can buy one out of the cooler. He's fine with selling like non-custom cakes. It's against his religion to sell people.
Isn't that some kind of weird compromise? Like, by the way, if he knows that they're a gay couple going to use it for a gay thing, if he made the cake, then
and the other thing the Supreme Court has to consider here is the precedent, because what's going to happen is other businesses will instantly start denying same-sex couples services and making the Supreme Court judge on each and every one of them. This is never going to fly until we get a super conservative court, and then stuff like this is going to happen. But
what if the Supreme Court just said, okay, I can get that some people who make cakes might call that art, but you're not really making any kind of incendiary statement or any kind of.
See, that's the scary part, because then if the Supreme Court ruled that way, then they would be like,
that's not art.
They would have to judge individual cases of what they would become arbiters of what is art and
what is public.
And you may not remember this, but in the 80s, that was kind of brought before the Supreme Court about pornography. And one of the justices famously said, the rule of law is I'll know it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do remember that.
So there's always been these, with the First Amendment, there's always been these instances where the cases come down to the Supreme Court going, so now we're going to have to be the judge of what is art.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's what we were put here to be. We're all lawyers. We're not so I don't think it's going to get there with this one. I think it's going to be the guy's going to have to serve same-sex cakes or he can keep doing what he's doing now.
This will be the weirdest decision handed down.
You're about to see some weirder ones. Once Ginsburg retires and they put another conservative up there.
Oh, well, that won't be weird. It'll just be shitty. This one is. I don't know how to call this. I mean, it's a difficult thing to write.
He's going to have to serve same-sex cakes, or he can serve to nobody. That's what's going to come down.
All right, you called it.
I've
He's
called
going to
it.
have to serve.
He can either hold his religious beliefs and serve nobody custom cakes.
All right, so in PR, these guys were drawing some sort of false equivalencies, I thought.
Okay.
Because you can discriminate against someone if they are like a hate group, KKK, Nazi. That's a decision you make, right? Mm-hmm. As to whether or not to be involved in that. It's a decision that you make to be this way, or to have this opinion of something or another opinion, and you're allowed to not make things for those people. That's obvious. But in this case, the Supreme Court has to say that being gay is an immutable thing, that you are much like being African American.
I think there's an easier.
White, right?
I think there's an easy way to think of that. If the KKK guy walks into your business, mm-hmm. if he asks for the same object that you sell to everybody else, he's not asking for a specialty object that is special to him. Mm-hmm. You still have to serve him. Sure,
but he can't require you to say, "I want to make a cake with a swastika on it."
No, but the same with the same-sex guys. They didn't go in there and ask him to say, "Make a big super gay cake." No, they just wanted a wedding.
But
cake.
Just the fact that it's a union between two men.
But that was his personal belief. He was still serving cakes to other people. He was choosing who to serve to and who not to. That's what I think you're missing the distinction.
All right.
So look, you can't say I won't serve a KKK guy. I won't sell watches to a KKK guy, but I'll sell watches to a non-KKK guy. You can't do that.
Look,
but you don't have to serve a watch that says I love the KKK.
That's true.
That can violate your personal beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I think the kosher deli, for me, made sense because it's like, yeah, the kosher deli, it's against their religious beliefs. They don't serve pork.
To anybody.
But they don't serve it to anybody.
So the guy's going to really have to he's going to have to continue as is, not selling
Which he stopped because of this
to
case.
anyone. I think that's an ideal solution to the problem.
Which he said he lost 40% of his business.
And
but if that's,
so what?
But if God will make it up to him, I'm sure. All right, so Henry, you also on the list. Well, this isn't really local, but I guess it's
What's Nebraska?
Yeah,
Sydney Loof. Have you heard this story?
I didn't until you sent it to me, and I checked it out.
So a girl, I guess, swipes right on Tinder, has a date with another girl. Anyway, she's been missing. She used to work at a department store. They found her by a lake, a pond, dead. The weird thing about it is the people of interest that they're interested in talking to are the weirdest people in the world. Like, they posted a video. Have you seen this?
Yeah, you sent me a link to this YouTube video they posted where they basically were pleading their own innocence, but while they're doing it, they're both like in black hoodies.
Yeah, she's
with
got
black
the
sunglasses
hoodie of her
on.
face like this, and like staring and remaining motionless, while the other guy, off camera,
kind of off camera, yeah,
with his head up.
You barely see one eye. Yeah,
and he's like 51 years old, and she's 23.
I'll tell you my first impression. So, first, here's
I'll
my
tell you
thought.
what I think's going on.
So why is a 23-year-old lesbian girl supposedly living with a 51-year-old guy?
There's all kind of weird relationships.
But hold on. So to me, that right there, they were luring girls in for something.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
And something went wrong, and they had to kill her, or they accidentally killed her.
Here's what I think. I think that's exactly what happened. I think that,
and they both look sketchy as hell.
I think they lured her in to some sort of human trafficking, prostitution, or pornography thing, and things went wrong after that first date. Well, they had a first date. I don't know if it was before a second or whatever, but and I think that they took care of her.
Yeah, I mean, I think this will come out. They don't look like... They look closer to the Hamburglar than Lex Luthor. I mean, these they don't look like master criminals. I think they're going to be... It's
so?
them. Yeah, I mean, my first impression was, once you see that video, it doesn't take Sherlock to realize just the way that girl, like, when she first talked, she said, yeah, so we want to...
I'm also known by so-and-so because I have priors.
But we just want to know, you after seeing the news and seeing... the internet and seeing news. I was like, we already said news. She seemed not that... It looks like the 51-year-old guy was the mastermind and the young girl.
That maybe she's using.
And he was luring... he used her to lure in the other girls because she definitely looked methed out or coked out.
Well, you know what I had to Google? What the hell is shatter? What the hell is that? So I'm Googling, like, trying to figure out what the hell shatter is. And all you 20-somethings, if any of you guys...
Oh, this is good. This is perfect because... This brings up something else, Henry. Well, and what is shatter? I don't know.
It's some kind of some sort of boiled down marijuana situation.
Okay.
I Googled
I heard her say that, but I didn't know.
Oh, we did. We smoked this. We did
some
shatter. And then we did shatter, and I'm thinking crystal meth.
This brings up. I didn't think I was going to bring this up, but so I'm perusing the blogs the other day, and I see that Tumblr had put out their best of 2017 stuff. And it turned out I was on a sci-fi blog about sci-fi movies and stuff. And so I see a headline that says Tumblr's put out their best ships of 2017. So I go in. I'm like, okay, I want to see. I thought I was going to get like the new The Orville, which is a new television show on Fox.
This is like sci-fi, just not TV. It's movies and TV?
I thought it was everything. I thought they were basically going to give us the top 10 new ships in sci-fi.
Oh, ships.
Yeah, ships.
Okay.
SHIP. So I thought, I was going to get different science fiction ships. Do you know what a ship is, Henry?
Nah. I mean, yeah, it's the thing that those guys get on to go travel.
Do you know what shipping is, Henry?
I know what if I know what a ship is. Okay, there's such thing as called a swallow ship, which is like a scholarship. You're in a Kanye West song.
This is like watching someone dig a deeper and deeper hole. So shipping, if you look it up in the Urban Dictionary, which I didn't know this, is basically when a fictional couple or characters in a novel or a TV show or any kind of fictional relationship that you want to see get together, but actually they haven't gotten together on the show. So I'm looking at the Tumblr Best of 2017, and they've got these. I thought I was looking up different actual vessels, but what I was looking up was relationships. So that 20-something kids wanted to see
these
people
two
get
are
together.
shipping.
These two are shipping.
Oh,
I've never heard that in my life.
Shipping.
They're shipping. And I didn't know this, and this just showed how old I was. It literally, Henry, took me 30 minutes to track down what the fuck was I seeing, because I was like...
I can't wait to use that when I get home.
You need to walk into Bijou and be like...
B, are they shipping? Or hey, are they shipping over there? Sure. Oh, my God.
Henry, how funny is this? So think about this. Just for a second. How funny is this to go to that list and be looking for names of science fiction vessels? I was looking for names of like the Orville from. You don't know what the Orville is. Okay. The Orville is this comedy show that the guy
Seth MacFarlane
does, which is like So I was trying to look like the Enterprise, number 1, number 2. The ship from The Expanse on Sci-Fi Network, and I was like, what the fuck is all this? Kelly J plus Tina B. I don't even know what this means. Like, I felt like Henry, almost like for a minute I was in a different country. Like, I don't even know what it is. Shipping. All
right, so you 40-somethings who may not know what shatter is. Shatter is one form of dabs. Now, do you know what a dab is?
No,
I kind of know what a dab is.
What's a dab? I thought a dab was
it's
this.
It's the catch-all term.
I thought Cam Newton dabbed.
He's on our list. For marijuana concentrates produced by extracting cannabinoids like THC and CBT.
Let me tell you what I thought. When she said shatter, this is what I thought, Henry. I thought
Crack.
That was her way of saying that they had sex.
No. I thought it was like meth or some stupid... but now I know it's just... Okay, she says they were doing... smoking weed.
Well, report back to us on what Bijou says when you blow her mind.
Oh, I will.
With ship. And
if she knows what it is.
We need to get to current events, Henry.
I mean, yeah.
Let's go to current events.
As if the stuff we weren't talking about wasn't current enough.
And I'll say this real quick. Current events for us has turned into sort of a music. I found current events has turned into a music section, so maybe we need to rename it. But are you ready to go to current events?
Yes, current events.
Current events.
So we're going to talk about music. I've been to 2 shows. You've been to one that I know of. We already talked about LCD a little while ago. I went to see Bon Iver with my wife and my daughter. I'm sure I don't have to tell people what Bon Iver is. He did those records. He's a rock star now, and that's the perception I got of the show was that is that I'm going to be this sort of over the top, interesting rock star type guy. Very unapproachable, and just I felt very distant from the whole experience.
Yeah, when Henry told me he wanted to talk about this, you sent me a text and you said Bon over.
Yeah, he's just done. When I say done, I just mean he's not Justin Vernon anymore. It's something else. I don't know. I think that Jessica would probably agree with me at her core that that's true. Something about fame kind of distorts you, and you. I think he feels like he's got to do this over the top kind of experience, and he's got to be delivering messages of love and all of this. And I've got horn players, and I have this really interesting light situation going on. It just felt like built on.
Is this more though like of a Green Day selling out situation, or is it just you're bemoaning he's become popular, or is it just he's different?
He's different.
Okay.
Or at least that's the perception I got. But now I was sitting way back.
Well, I hate Bon Iver, so I don't care.
But you
what I
probably,
really care
did you
about,
like the first one?
No.
I don't believe that. I think you did.
I didn't. But let's go into this. What I'm really interested in. So Henry and I went to Chapel Hill and saw this band called Slow Dive,
Oh, yeah.
and it was great.
Yes.
How was Henry went?
I went to part 2.
Henry went to seconds. Henry went back for seconds to Nashville. How was
Steven, I don't know if I told you, but Steven met me down there. He was in town with Kirsten.
This is our friend Steven Yount.
Yeah, we did our band together, and we really wanted to be those guys really bad. So, and we had a fun time. I brought earplugs because I told Jessica she was going to need them, and Steven. Turns out we probably didn't need the earplugs. It's obvious to me that the songs over, when you get back together, you're full of piss and vinegar, and you want to really blow the doors off the place. You got your guitars dialed up to 11 and everything. I get that. I think that my perception of what happened is you do 50 dates, right, from here until you see me again, and the guitars start to wear you down, particularly with Rachel Goswell, who's probably got the hearing thing. My guess is they probably needed to attenuate the guitars a little bit just to save everybody upstairs, and the songs took on a more pop element, if that makes sense, because of that.
So you're saying it was quieter?
Yeah, it felt quieter. It felt less chaotic, and it wasn't altogether bad. But I will say I felt like there was something lost, like that great sort of euphoric feeling that you feel in the back of your skull.
I'll tell you,
when that
folks,
happened, just stopped.
I'll tell you, folks, and Henrik is a better judge of this, and he can tell me. A couple songs on the record, when we went to see them in Chapel Hill, I was expecting a moment where Maxell tape ad moment where the guy's sitting in the chair with all his hair blown back. I was expecting this, like, auditory thing. I thought it was too quiet in Nashville, but I have hearing loss, so you thought it was pretty much right on.
Well, yeah, you probably have some hearing loss from sitting in front of amps for the last decade.
But you thought it was right on in Nashville, but too quiet.
Well, for me.
I mean, I'm sorry, right on in Chapel Hill, but too quiet in Nashville.
I don't know how loud it should have been, but in Nashville, it was loud enough for me to sort of feel that little. It wasn't My Bloody Valentine loud, but
You're saying in Chapel Hill when we were.
I'm sorry, when you and I are together.
It was loud enough
that moment. But I was high on a lot of things. I was high on the experience,
right,
of being there with my friends that I made a band with.
Yeah.
That we loved this music and we made.
But the major difference, it seemed like you were at the end of the tour in Nashville. It was a little bit quieter, and it
wasn't felt like a middle-aged version of what that was. And that's not a knock on them at all. I get it. It would happen to me. It would happen to you.
Right.
It's just after you bang the songs out for 60, 70 times, you're making this record, whatever they probably played more than 50. Something's got to give.
Well,
and Rachel, I know, has hearing issues that they probably had to acclimate for. So that Rachel
Goswell from the band Slow Dive.
Right. I felt like the guy. It wasn't Neil
Halstead.
It wasn't Neil Halstead that had to be dialed down so much. I really feel like it was the other guy that they had to back him off because he was the guy. He was the color guy. I feel like.
Well, this will be a good test for the other band I want to talk about, which I went to see St. Vincent.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Which was close to the beginning of her tour, but I kind of talked Henry into buying tickets for the Charlotte show, which is going to be kind of near the end of the tour, which I went and bought tickets.
I get another end of the tour.
Yeah, me too. I'm double dipping, so we'll see how it is. I went to the show with no expectation. I knew what the show was going to be about. I kind of knew from reading reviews of the other shows. I wasn't expecting a lot, and I definitely wasn't going to buy Charlotte tickets. I came out of the show and definitely went and bought Charlotte tickets. And anybody that is in a city that she's coming to, I would suggest you go see it.
Is it a show? Like a real show?
Yeah, here's the interesting thing. So the last tour that she did, I went and saw her twice. I double dipped. It was this crazy like comment on a rock show. Basically, they acted like robots, literally. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you remember it. Her and the whole band acted literally like robots, almost like Devo, like choreographed, but like very robotic moves, almost the entire show. She came up to the edge of the stage and put her head down in like a robotic motion and asked audience members questions. And when they answered, like when they answer back before they finished answering, she would cut them off and be like, I love playing your Put City here. Like, it was totally like this comment on like a rock show, but they rocked. So this thing, so the first thing that happens, and you're going to see this, she directed 1/4 of a horror movie. I don't know if you knew this. It's 4 different directors doing horror shorts.
Like directed by Annie Clark.
One was directed by Annie Clark. One was directed by. There were 4 different directors, and it was put out at theaters. Hers was shown as the first thing at this concert. Show the movie. Then there's a 15-minute break, and then she comes out and does, in chronological order, 10 songs from all prior albums to the new record. Damn. The cool thing is she's the only one on stage. It's all pre-recorded music except for her and her guitar. She starts stage left with a spotlight, and the curtain only comes across a little bit to show her. She's in this like crazy sexy like tiny outfit, and basically she moves across the stage with each song, and she has a girl in like some crazy S&M garb come out like a automaton and push the curtain back a little further, and so at that point, that's the end of set 1. I didn't know that there was a whole chronological thing to it, except it's posted in the bathrooms.
Oh, really?
That the movie would be shown at this time, set 1 would be shown at this time, and set 2 would be shown at this time. So set 1 ends, and I'm almost ready to call you. I'm ready to be like, this isn't working for me. You know, she's not pulling it off. What's the difference in this and Lady Gaga, right? It's pre-recorded music except for her and her guitar. Like, how is this
10 songs of this?
Yeah, and it's like, how is this different than Lady Gaga? I thought the band was going to be behind the curtain, but they weren't. This was pre-recorded music, you know, so I'm like, I think I'm diametrically opposed to this, and it almost felt like she lulled me into, I'm kind of upset about this. And then all of a sudden, like, the curtains part, and there's this huge video board with this photograph of her from the Mass Seduction, from the new album, looking kind of like drugged out thing on the video board. And then she comes out again in a different outfit with the guitar, and the song starts, and these videos that are shown behind her are just, I can't even describe how awesome it worked. It's almost like she lulled me with the first set into.
Was there ever a band to show up?
No, didn't need it.
Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. I don't think I could have. The second set is like, it's almost like the first set was a con to lull me into like, I'm going to be mad, and then the second set just hit you over the head with a bat, and it made me think about things like art. What is art? She's not even doing a rock show. I don't even know what a rock show is.
It's a performance.
It's closer to just an art performance than it was a rock show, but I didn't feel let down. And like the videos behind her. So the band I'm in, we do videos and stuff, and I'm proud of it, and it's great. But this was like these videos, and I know she has a lot more money than we do, but these videos were like part of the song. Like you're like, it's almost like she lulled you with the first set into not looking at her anymore. Because you're like, she's the only one up there, so all of a sudden you're watching the screen, and these videos, it's just really crazy. Like, it's nothing I'd ever seen before. And you're sitting there going, you know what? This is like watching a person at the Evening Muse, a singer-songwriter, with a guitar by themselves. But I've never seen anything like this in my life. How amazing is that she's taken just being on the stage by yourself with a guitar and turned it into something that I feel like I've never seen before.
And the songs are good, right?
The songs are great. But the video presentation is so big, and she's so little, and there's the colors and like, and it wasn't. It was not a rock show. And then me and Megan are sitting there, my wife, and we're thinking, how cool is this going to be at a place like the Fillmore, which is much smaller than where we were at. So like we were in this like kind of like Thomas Wolfe kind of big kind of balcony kind of thing, and we were way back in the lower deck. How cool is this going to be in the Fillmore when we're like closer and these images are like super
I saw an image of her record, Mass Seduction, where it's like she's bent down with a thong up her butt, I guess, that way.
That's not her, by the way.
That's not her. Somebody else?
It's a model, but The last thing I want to say about it is, like, she, of all people through her career so far, has reminded me the most of David Bowie. Like, she's servicing art way more than she's servicing.
You know, she did that project with David Byrne,
which is great.
And that guy said, they interviewed him about what's it like to be with St. Vincent, Annie Clark, and he said, I toured, X number of dates. I don't know her any better than I did before. And that's something good for an artist of either gender, to be mysterious, because it keeps people interested.
So next week, Henry, or maybe we'll have one more podcast before the end of the year. I think we're going to do our top 5 list of 2017.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that, but we'll go ahead and commit now. Do a top 5. We're talking movies, TV, books, and music. So we're going to work on a top 5
from those categories.
From those categories,
not a top 5 in each category, just a top 5 total.
But top 5 cultural touchstones for 2017.
And I thought it might be neat, like maybe Slaughterhouse 5 would make it for you. It doesn't,
sure.
The art doesn't have to be produced in 2017. It's just you came across it in 2017.
Important stuff for us.
So we're gonna have 10. We're gonna have 10 items that are our top 10 things of 2017, and then we're gonna have a Happy New Year, and then we're gonna hopefully, Henry, do another slate of shows in 2018.
To recap, if you write us a review on iTunes, you'll get a shot glass. If you're from California and you email us, we're going to send you a shot glass, man. Send me your address.
Come on.
Talk to me.
And maybe a beer koozie, too. So it'll be great. Just talk to us. We want to hear from you guys.
We'd love for you to share what we're doing here. And
thanks for listening so much.
Thanks for listening. Also, if you're on Twitter, what the fuck is going on with Twitter? Would you please message me on Twitter? I need followers. I need to understand Twitter. I don't fucking get it. And shipping. We ain't got no fucking band, Chris.
We need some paying gigs. We don't need this messing around, first one patio and then another, and that's ridiculous.